Chapter 376, East Region Saint City, Visiting an Old Friend. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. Zhang Yuochen, why did you stop me? Juan Muxingling threw off Zhang Yuochen's hand after they boarded the White Dragon holy ship. She widened her apricot-like eyes and gave him a cold glare. She was obviously very angry. Zhang Yuochen replied, Zhu Yingru and I just exchanged views about sword technique. We are not as close as you think. We both are students of School of the Martial Market. Why do we have to cause a scene? Maybe you just wanted to help her with sword technique, because both of you are studying in the same school. But she had a different idea. Don't you see that? It doesn't matter what others think. We just have to do the right thing, Zhang Yuochen said. Juan Muxingling rolled her eyes. She said, is it? She kissed you and I saw it with my own eyes. Upon hearing this, Cixin-Kong, Chang Kiki and the rabbit Gyogo, who were eating the spiritual dosol, turned around and stared at Zhang Yuochen with surprise. Everyone was shocked. Chang Kiki envied and admired him. He said, my God, junior fellow apprentice Zhang, is it true? Zhu Yingru is someone whose beauty could end kingdoms. She actually kissed you? Cixin-Kong showed a bit of a smile. He said, I don't believe that it is just as simple as a kiss. I don't buy it either. Chang Kiki said instantly, no wonder Zhu Yingru hates you so much. It turns out that you have taken such an advantage of her. If I were her, I would definitely hate you as well. Zhang Yuochen shook his head bitterly, looked at Juan Muxingling, and said, Senior Sister Apprentice Juan Mu, how did you know about this? I certainly saw it accidentally. Juan Muxingling's face was unnatural. She turned around instantly, fearing that Zhang Yuochen might catch the panic in her eyes. Luckily, Chang Kiki helped her out from this predicament. He said unruly, it is actually true. Junior fellow apprentice Zhang, you are very charming. She threw herself on you just because you guided her with some sword techniques. I have met Zhu Yingru for a few times, but she never looked at me in the eye, and she was as cold as ice. I even thought that she was a fairy from the heavens and doesn't put us mortals in her eyes. It turns out that that's not entirely true. Gyogo widened its eyes and stared blankly at him. It said, Master Chen, are you done? Zhang Yuochen was unable either to laugh or to cry. He said, actually, she doesn't fancy me either. Didn't you all just see that? Chang Kiki smiled and said, when she finds out that the young master of Black Market Excellence Hall was defeated by you, she will possibly regret it again. I have a feeling that your fight with DE will be on the front page of Eastern Region Report. The message of Dragon Saria coming into their world will definitely shock the world. Zhang Yuochen did not seem to feel even the slightest joy. On the contrary, he became very serious. Although he could be famous after being on Eastern Region Report and became the most popular god's favored son, the evil masters would definitely plan to deal with him. When the next Eastern Region Report was issued, Zhang Yuochen's life would never be as peaceful as it was ever again. The giant White Dragon holy ship, under the push of energy of 100,000 spiritual crystals, brought out dynamic inscriptions and flew up into the sky. It flew toward East Region Saint City, leaving explosions behind. A planet, a city. Not many have any idea of how long the East Region Saint City was under construction for it to be developed into its present scale. More than 100 million warriors were practicing and living in East Region Saint City. There was more competition here than anywhere else. Of course, there were also more opportunities. White Dragon holy ship flew through the clouds. Standing on the ship, they could see the land and ocean below. There were palaces, pavilions, high towers and martial arts arenas everywhere. There were grand palace-like buildings on the top of the mountains, island fortresses dotted around the oceans, and majestic holy temples that floated in the sky. An atmosphere of strong spiritual chi from heaven and earth flooded over from all directions. As long as you exercised the chi in your body, a large amount of spiritual chi could be inhaled into meridians through limbs and bones, which could make you feel relaxed and refreshed. The spiritual chi of the East Region Saint City is 10 times thicker than that of the outside. Practicing here will definitely yield twice the result with half the effort. No wonder the warriors would try so hard to get into the Saint City, Cixin-Kong said. Zhang Yuochen nodded and said, The thick spiritual chi is just one part of it. The unique learning environment of martial arts in the East Region Saint City is more important. There are many suzerains and aristocratic families in the Middle Age for the past 10,000 years. The resources of martial arts is in abundance. I can easily get the advice from famous teachers and can get to learn profound exercises and martial techniques. Even Lei Jing nodded his head. The practice of martial arts did not mean to shut oneself up in a room. One had to get advice from the famous teachers and perceive martial arts of 100 families, getting their specialties. Then one could reach the sacred realm. Practicing exercises without perceiving other martial arts could never reach the sacred realm, even if you had practiced the best exercises. Only a resourceful man could become a saint. East Region Saint City encompassed 5 continents, 12 oceans and thousands of smaller islands. Saint Academy, located in the 7th district of Jinhong Mainland, was undeniably the most prosperous place in the world. In the entire eastern region, countless warriors had come to the 7th district. Some people came here for pilgrimage, while others wanted to be an apprentice to a master. In any case, most of them were geniuses with dreams, hoping that a miracle would happen, and they would suddenly be of interest to some half-saint master of the Saint Academy, thus becoming their students. And then, they would themselves become saints of the Saint Academy, standing tall above others. In the 7th district, there was not only Saint Academy, but also college, fist club, and sword club created by other forces. There were thousands of them, of varying sizes. It could be said that there were numerous God's favored sons in the 7th district. They gathered together to discuss current events, which affected the future pattern of the Eastern region. It was a place for geniuses in the entire Eastern region to gather. Entering the 7th district, a silver-gowned elder sent by School of the Martial Market led Lei Jing, Zhang Yuochen, Si Xingkong and others to a courier station of Martial Market. Although it was a courier station, it was more of a palace courtyard, which was vast in the land. The wall was built with silver, the column was carved with gold and jade, and the ground was covered with marble. The courier station was like a fairyland on earth, surrounded by holy palaces. Nanting Courier Station has 36 palaces, 360 training rooms and 720 inferior servants in total. Among them, 27 palaces are inhabited. You will temporarily be residing in the Jade Toad Palace, which has 10 rooms. You can allocate the rooms as you wish. The silver-gowned elder was very easygoing. He continued, the first round of Saint Academy's examination will take place in 7 days. You should remember the time and make sure to not miss the examination. After going over some other minor things, the silver-gowned elder left. The treatment of students in School of the Martial Market is so luxurious. A courier station is like a holy temple the saint lived in, Chang Kiki said excitedly. Si Xingkong said, however good it is, we can only live here for 3 months. After that, if we don't pass the Saint Academy's examination, we will have to pack our bags and leave. Chang Kiki said with his fists clenched, I'm sure I can pass the Saint Academy's examination. Then I will become a permanent resident in East Region Saint City through my own effort. Arriving at East Region Saint City, Chang Kiki had been deeply attracted by the prosperous scenery and martial arts atmosphere here. Suddenly, he had a new goal. After going back to their own rooms and settling down, Si Xingkong and Chang Kiki rushed out of Courier Station, heading toward the main street of the 7th district to explore the prosperous East Region Saint City. It was unknown when Duan Mook Singling left the Courier Station. She disappeared without a trace. Swoosh. Zhang Yuochen sat in the room with his legs crossed and took out the Abyss Ancient Sword. He gently touched the fracture of the blade, showing contemplating expression. Blackie's skill of refine weapon is limited. He can only connect basic inscriptions in the Abyss Ancient Sword. No more than 1,000th of the power of the Abyss Ancient Sword has been restored. Since I have arrived at East Region Saint City, it's time to visit the predecessor. Maybe only he can help me repair the Abyss Ancient Sword. There was a figure showing in Zhang Yuochen's mind. He narrowed his eyes and put the Abyss Ancient Sword back to sword scabbard. He carried it on his back and left Courier Station by himself. There were 81 city districts in Jinhong Mainland, and every one of them was huge. The number of residing warriors in each of the districts was over 100 million. There were also some special sacred mountains and holy lands other than the 81 city districts. East Region Saint City's land was very expensive. Buying a small house in the center of the city would cost a huge sum of wealth, which equaled to all the superior in the fish dragon realm had got. It was even more difficult to own a sacred mountain in East Region Saint City. Only a real saint or rich suzerain and their family could do it. At this moment, after hurrying on with his journey for half a day, Zhang Yuochen came to the bottom of a sacred mountain. Specifically, there were many sacred mountains. There were 18 of them, one connecting to another. When sacred mountains were linked together, they could be called a holy land. Hence, the owner of this room was definitely an extraordinary man. Sword Sanctum. Zhang Yuochen raised his head, looking at a giant stone tablet in front of him. On the stone tablet, there were 4 vigorous ancient Chinese characters, carrying 4 overwhelmingly sword comprehension. 4 characters turned into 4 figures, appearing from the stone tablet, who were continuously displaying sword techniques. Every character represented a sword technique that was highly profound. 800 years ago, Zhang Yuochen had been here and had seen this stone tablet. He also had seen the 4 characters. Nothing seemed to be changed. Only the leaves on the ground seemed to have grown thicker. Sword Sanctum was attached to the Zhangs for generations and it was always loyal to them. 800 years ago, the owner of Sword Sanctum was the 6th disciple of Emperor Ming. He was called Lu Yuanzai, who had reached the level of Saint Master in refining weapons. Of course, Sword Sanctum and Lu Yuanzai's identity were tightly concealed. Except for Emperor Ming and Zhang Yuochen, the number of the person who knew about this did not exceed 5. At that time, Emperor Ming led Zhang Yuochen to Sword Sanctum, telling him that if he was driven into a corner one day, no one in the world could be trusted except Lu Yuanzai. 800 years have passed. Is elder brother Lu still alive? Zhang Yuochen clenched his hands. Many thoughts came to his mind. At that time, 8 disciples of Emperor Ming were all over 100 years old. Although Zhang Yuochen was their peers, there was a large age difference between them. 800 years had passed. If Lu Yuanzai was still alive, he should be 970 years old now.